Live from Studio 550, this is The Board Meeting on KTRS.
Hey, this is our second to last show of the year. Next year, we're going to have it catered by Ruth Chris, by the way.
Oh, I'm all in favor.
Nice.
Nothing like a big steak first thing in the morning.
I'm here for you, gentlemen and
I want a
ladies.
shrimp tower.
Ladies, you have to disclose that, John Deal, though.
That's right.
Or he'll report it. You got to
right.
watch out.
The board meeting is in session. Our weekly guests are here, backed by popular demand. Attorney and former Chief of Staff to Governor Holden, Jane Duker. Jane, good morning.
Good morning, McGraw.
State House Majority Leader, Speaker in Waiting, John Deal. Good morning, John Deal.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Let's start with editorial page editor Tony Messenger of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Tony, take us through this trash ruling that the court ruled on yesterday. The county now owes $6 million.
So if you're a taxpayer, you're gonna really appreciate this. But before I get into the trash ruling, I have to point out that this is the second day in a row that County Executive Charlie Dooley is talking about himself in the third person in the Post-Dispatch. So when that's going on, and when 2 days in a row, at least two stories have to deal with your problem with your campaign manager, John Temporiti, your campaign treasurer, or consigliere, or whatever it is that he is, Charlie, you've got a problem, and it's John Temporiti. And if you really want to run for county executive, your problem is John Temporiti. But to the trash ruling. So if like me, you live in the county and you have a trash company, you have probably been following this. When the county, under John Temporiti's advice, by the way, decided to redo the way it did its trash contracts. They violated the written contract that said they had to give 2 years' notice, and they did a bunch of other things. They got sued. The lawyer of some of the trash companies is our good friend Jane Duker over here. But here's what's great. So Duker wins, which
Again.
good for her.
Thank
it's about
you.
time
Hope
she
you
got
had
a-
that on a contingency.
About time she got
I
a win in court. Nice little Christmas bonus for the Duker family.
I
That's
wish.
why that's
She's
why I'm
buying the
lunch
shrimp
next year.
tower next year.
So
I
this
wish.
is the second time now that the judge has said quite clearly, county, you lose, you owe these companies money. But the county, even though the ruling's pretty clear, the contract's pretty clear, they appealed last time when the ruling was only $1.something million. Goes to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said, yeah, judge got it right, but reconfigure the money. So it comes back, and the judge says, you know what? 5 times as much money this time. And the county is still talking as though they're going to appeal again. What? They want the insurance company and the taxpayers to pay $10 million next time? It is unbelievable. You've already cost us $5.9 million. Pay the money and move on.
Well, there's a couple things I want to outline on that part of it. First of all, the Supreme Court was very clear the county violated the law, and they need to just take responsibility. The trash haulers have been very clear. They've tried to settle over the last 5 years. They've tried to stop this, and they tried to stop it before. They tried to stop it after, and the county just keeps. They don't want to admit that they were wrong, and that's it's a recurring theme. And this is the thing: if you live in incorporated St. Louis County, so let's say you're a resident of Kirkwood, and your municipality contracts with a trash company, and you use that company. Okay, that's pretty normal. So, but the resident in Kirkwood now has to not only pay their trash bill for their pickup, they now, because of this judgment, have to subsidize the trash hauling in unincorporated St. Louis County.
Right.
So Charlie Dooley and Pat Reddington get up and say, Gary Earls, oh, this is savings, the savings. Well, guess what?
They said it
saved
saves
money.
people $6.
No, and you know why? Because all the residents in incorporated St. Louis County are subsidizing the trash program for Allied, which
it may be cheaper for people
For them.
unincorporated.
right, but
it's
now we're
more
paying
expensive
twice.
for everybody
So now we're
else.
paying our own trash bill, plus we're subsidizing the trash in unincorporated St. Louis County. So Charlie Dooley could make sure that his buddy John Temporiti got contracts for Allied Waste. And it's very clear. The Post-Dispatch reported in November of 2009, one of the haulers that I represent told everyone about a meeting where John Temporiti called all the haulers into a room and said, hey, Charlie Dooley's my best friend. I was his campaign manager. Some of you are going to be put out of business with this new contracting, so I suggest you get on board with the way I want to do it. And, that's what this was about. And by the way, I represent Allied. I mean, he was very clear who he represented. None of my clients, of course, got contracts, but Allied got 2 districts. And, come to find out, this is the same group, John Temperiti's client, who is operating the burning landfill in North County. So, I mean, now we know why
Smoldering.
Charlie. Yeah.
Smoldering.
Simmering, nuclear waste, whatever. And so now we know why Dooley's not taking any, big stance on the Bridgeton landfill, because his buddy still represents, Allied. I mean, it's just a theme.
I don't understand. This has been going on for
5 years.
5
years. And they keep saying, we're going to keep appealing because, he doesn't want to pay a judgment. This is his problem, though. The judgment's likely to come down right before the election. So not only is it just immoral and it's fiscally irresponsible to the taxpayer, I mean, it's politically stupid.
Explain to listeners and me while you're at it why it went from 1 point something to 5 point something.
Well, because, frankly, I think, the judge, who I respect, is probably cognizant of the taxpayer, but I think it was the measure of damages. And so the judge, sort of the first time around, sort of in her own way, figured out what she thought the profit margin was. And the Supreme Court fixed it and said, no, this is the actual measure of damages. And, we actually put on evidence of more. But my clients have been very clear. They want to end the saga. And so now we come back and the measure of damages, now it's 5.9. Well, guess what, though?
What is the county's argument to that in these trials?
Well, it's interesting because they never put on a witness. They never put on a shred of evidence in either trial. But then Pat Reddington issues a statement and says, it's contrary to the law and the facts. Well, you have never presented a case in either trial. So they don't have a response.
So they keep appealing, but they don't do anything in the trial?
No. It's all uncontroverted evidence. I mean, that's always the first thing that we put in every brief. All of our evidence is uncontroverted. They've never put on a witness to justify the trash program. What does that tell you? And so, it starts to look even more disingenuous. And again, Tony, you're right. How many more days of stories are we going to have where John Temporiti is costing the taxpayers money or preventing somebody from getting confirmed but there's no apology and there's no even recognition that this is a problem. And that's, it's endemic.
There comes a point where Charlie Dooley either decides he's the county executive or he's not.
Right.
And if he's not, and John Temporiti's the county executive, then he should just step down.
Right. Call it a day.
I mean, it's the guy has a chance, and maybe he's lost it at this point, but he had a chance. I wrote an editorial a few months ago when the police board stuff was all building up, in which I said, look, you've got an opportunity to cut your losses. Do what an executive has to do. Fire the people that are causing you problems. Fire the people that are giving you bad advice. And he hasn't done it.
He's doubled down.
He hasn't done it at all. And now he walks into, we haven't even talked about the police board. He walks Bob Baer into a county council meeting in which this guy who has been a leader in the community, people have a lot of opinions about Bob, but he's been a leader in the community for many years. As a politician, you don't walk your friend into that meeting if you don't have the votes. He walks him into the votes to be confirmed to the county to the police board, and he gets voted down with what, one vote? He got one vote.
Well, but they abstained because
because they didn't want to hurt his feelings and try to be professional and everything.
Bob Baer doesn't deserve that. Bob Baer has served our community.
At some point, somebody has to say to Charlie, the problem is John Temporiti.
Right.
Well, he's clearly heard that and read that.
Oh, millions of times.
Right. He just chooses not to.
Correct.
I love this Democrat on Democrat crime.
I know. It's usually.
I'm just sitting back there going, hey, good day for me.
That's right.
Maybe a Republican might get into the county race at some point. I want to talk about this landfill here real quick because the Post should be commended on the work they're doing, trying to keep abreast of what's going on. The EPA came out, said that now there's nuclear waste closer to the fire than they thought. They're building a trench around it, and now there's nuclear waste. We had a guy on yesterday who said there's a Washington University professor who believes this nuclear waste has now leached into the groundwater.
Oh, God.
It sounds to me like it's a disaster, but it sounds to me like the people of Bridgeton care about it, but no one else is really paying attention to this.
Well, I think there are a lot of grassroots advocates that have been very vocal, and I too appreciate the Post-Dispatch for actually disseminating the information. And at the same time, the county takes out of the budget all the landfill inspectors. I mean, what? Are you kidding me? If something happens at this landfill, this is not a Bridgeton issue. It is a regional issue.
Oh, it's a national issue if something actually happens
absolutely.
there.
The airport.
It's about to become a regional issue because I think this is going to meet a lot of scrutiny. One of the proposals out there that I just learned about this week is going to be to start digging all this stuff up and trucking it out of the St. Louis region somewhere else.
Well,
and when you start
Radioactive
trucking
on
that
Highway
stuff
70?
down 270 and 70, I think you're going to see all of a sudden the region becoming a lot more concerned about that. I think from what I understand, there are some remedies in place that could be put in place to make sense, such as capping and expensive,
right?
But containing it there that so far have not been.
Well,
don't worry, Allied's got it under control.
They told us yesterday, the representative, the policy analyst for Bill Otto, the representative out there, said that they've moved the other landfills away, but they've kept that one there.
This is the only one that they have not actually abated and moved. And Bridgeton is the only one, the landfill of this kind, that hasn't been moved.
Unbelievable. All right, that's Jane Duker, attorney, former chief of staff to Governor Holden. We should also say, in terms of full disclosure, you were the attorney for Waste Management.
Waste Management, American Eagle, and Meridian, all three that sued. All three.
And won the $5.9 million judgment. You should be buying lunch. Editorial page editor of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, Tony Messenger, and State Rep House Majority Leader John Deal. The board meeting is in session. Back in a moment, Big 550 KT.